close-up look at 3 popular decreases so you can compare them side by side. And next week I'm releasing a video comparing increases, and once that video, the sister video, is out, I'll give you a link here on screen to that video so you can watch it as well, because they're both pretty important. And this idea came to me through email from a viewer. Thank you very much. Keep them coming. I get a lot of ideas for videos that I'm shooting from people giving me suggestions. And the reason that this video is important is sometimes a pattern will tell you, especially older patterns, will just say decrease, like decrease 10 times across the row. And I get emails from people saying, what decrease should I do? They don't specify. And really at that point, it's knitter's choice. If the designer hasn't given you specific instructions for which one to use, you can really use whichever one you want, which is why it's a good idea to see how they look next to each other. Or you might decide to do a different decrease than the pattern recommends, and so I want to show you what they look like so you can make a good choice. First, I'm going to quickly run through the different decreases. In the video description field below, I will give you links to slow demonstrations that show you exactly how to work these decreases very carefully. I'm going to run through just to remind you of how they're worked as we talk about what they look like. Let's go and take a look. Look at this weirdo piece of knitting I have here with the different decreases. I'm going to run through this real quick so you can see how they're worked. There are 3 basic decreases. I'm sure a lot of you already know how to work these. This here is a knit border. And this first one, knit up 2 stitches before the marker. It's knit 2 together. And I find that just about every knitter learns knit 2 together as a beginner because they find that it's an easy way to get their stitch count back down to where it's supposed to be. They figure it out on their own. This next one is SSK. So I slip 1 stitch as if to knit, slip the 2nd stitch as if to knit, and knit those 2 together through the back loop. And this next one is PSSO. I'm going to slip 1 stitch as if to purl, knit 1, and then bind 1 stitch off over the other one. That's passing the slip stitch over. Just let me finish up this row real quick, and we'll take a look at these. Okay. Now, as you're trying to make a decision for what decreases you're going to use, we'll take a look at these. The first one that I did here was a knit 2 together, and if we isolate this stitch, you'll see it is a right-leaning single decrease. Definitely leans to the right. And as we move over here to the SSK, you'll see that it's a left-leaning decrease, and that's why these 2 look really good mirrored together. If you need a double decrease and you have like a center marker, what I've done here is knit 2 together, knit 2, SSK, and it gave me kind of this wide column of mirrored decreases, which ends up looking pretty good. These are probably the most inconspicuous decreases you can make, the SSK, knit 2 together and SSK. And then we move over here. There are a lot of older patterns. I think SSK is something that's come more into use in the past 20 years or so, and a lot of older patterns will have you do PSSO instead of SSK. And depending on how you want your work to look, you may want to substitute SSK when it calls for PSSO, because this is a left-leaning decrease and it has a really strong line leaning to the left in it. You can see it is almost a decorative decrease. It used to be, in my experience, in older patterns, it'll have it paired with knit 2 together for mirrored decreases, but you can see SSK and knit 2 together look far better and closer to each other than PSSO. But it's a pretty decrease, and it certainly can look good, like if you are doing lined up decreases in a hat or something. It's definitely a choice you have to make because it is a pretty strong statement. And this piece, this crazy piece, and no one's ever going to want to copy what I've done here, but I did the decreases, and the wrong side of the work is just knitting the knits and purling the purls, and then every right side row was the decreases. So this is every other row decrease, every other row decrease, every other row decrease. That might help you make a decision as well. That's it, comparing 3 popular decreases, and next week we will compare increases.